let's talk about the news.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North and South American, all the ships and clippers at sea. Let's go to press. News.
So we've been talking about Essen. We've been talking a lot about Essen, and we talked about the Geek Buzz, which was the Board Game Geek sort of buzz of what was the hot game. Turns out, we found out that there was another German group of people that went about figuring out a way to allow people to put in their reviews of games and rate them on a scale from 0 to 5. And evidently, from the people that turned us on to this, they said that this list is a little more representative because it is only games that were played, not people reacting to buzz or what it looks like or what they think about it, but what they actually played. Maybe not. I will tell you, let me list the top 5 games of Essen on this list. Number 1, Die Crew, which we mentioned yesterday. We mentioned just in the last week's episode. That's the game that Trey played that I thought was extremely interesting, and I actually said it was my biggest regret at the con not having played it. Number 2, Crystal Palace.
Sure.
So jumps many, many places off of the other list. Number 3, Marco Polo 2.
Interesting. A game you had mixed feelings kind of about.
I liked it. I didn't absolutely love it. That's for sure.
But Marco Polo 1 is so amazing that even a slight improvement.
I don't know if it's an improvement. It's a different game, but I don't know if it's an improvement personally.
Okay.
Personally. Trey thinks it's an improvement for sure. So take my reticence to give it that a grain of salt. Azul Summer Pavilion, which I looked at, it's a gorgeous game. I'm not a big Azul guy, but this is a beautiful game. I mean, it's a head turner when you see it on the table.
Does it turn you into a giant dog?
No, but what it does is it looks more like a flower prince that you're building. You're building sort of flower tile arrangements, which are very, very beautiful and very interesting. I'm not sure if it's actually supposed to be a flower or not, but that's what it looked like to me when I was looking at it. And then number 5 is Mirage. So
number 5.
Yeah, Die Crew, Crystal Palace,
Very
Marco Polo
interesting.
2, Azul, Summer Pavilion, and Mirage are the top 5 on this list. I thought that was very, very interesting because that comes pretty close to a lot of what our buzz is here. Azul notwithstanding, but we haven't played it yet. So.
We rate Mirage much higher, I think. I think for all of us, it's 1 or 2 of the year.
I think so as well. Next thing, we're going to talk. We haven't mentioned Tainted Grail. So let's mention Tainted Grail. Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon is out now. It is by the designers Krzysztof Piskorski and Marcin Swierkot.
I love your pronunciations of these games. I mean, your tonality, your baritone is so smooth, but the sounds that you're actually shaping are wrong.
Polish is tough for me. Polish is tough. The artist is Piotr. That's correct.
Piotr Swierkowski.
No. Foskowitz. And Eva Labak and Piotr Gasek. They're the artists. It is published by Awaken Games, Crowd Games, and Summon Games. And Maddie has been raving about this. It plays 1 to 4 players. It takes 60 to 120 minutes. And Maddie has said phrases such as maybe better than Gloomhaven. Maddie has said phrases like maybe the best writing he's ever seen in a board game. This is a cooperative adventure experience for 1 to 4 players. It uses Arthurian legends. It uses Celtic mythology. And it is a branching story structure. Whether or not it is tremendously replayable is a question because there are definitely pinch points that are going to resolve a similar way regardless. But evidently, side quest wise, and some of the adventures can happen in very different ways. So a lot of it could be played.
Tom, explain to me, why is there suddenly, or maybe recently, an explosion of these sort of hybrid board game RPGs?
Well, I think there always have been to some degree. I mean, the first original War of the Ring game was by Richard Borg back in the 1970s. So there was always a desire to have games that felt more like a role-playing experience. And in fact, Dungeons & Dragons basically comes from miniature wargaming. It was a miniature wargame first that they started telling stories with, and that was how Dungeons & Dragons began.
I did not know that. So these games came first.
Maybe in a way they kind of did. I think Gary Gygax, what he did was he took skirmish level war games and decided how about we learn more about who this figure is and tell enough of a story and then give a good combat system so that we can do all the things that we normally do in a war game. I think that we've found out that little by little people have gotten more into storytelling. I think the Dungeons and Dragons and the role-playing game crowd overlaps the board gaming crowd to a very large degree. At Gen Con, when we're there, few and far between are the people that play only one and don't even dabble with the other. So I think that people realize there's an audience for that. And once they started getting better and better at games, look, when I look at a game like Battlestar Galactica, which was one of those first Fantasy Flight games, I would also say Game of Thrones, that really started to take off as not just the game, not just the mechanics, but the story that you were telling. It was only a matter of time before more games would come out. Listen, I'll say Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, going way back to the 1970s, was another, or 80s, was another one of those games that tells a story. It's and it's only grown since then. The Robinson Crusoe, the Tales of the Arabian Nights, these are all games from the 90s and from the aughts that had a lot of storytelling in them. We're just getting better and better at them. Once legacy became a thing, right? Once these various elements became a thing, we realized, this is becoming much more of a hybrid with Dungeons and Dragons and those types of games.
And Polish writers can write. I mean, we're talking about Karl Čapek, we're talking about Stanislaw Lem, we're talking about Ian Potocki with the manuscript found in Saragossa.
Was Lem Polish?
Yeah, Stanislaw Lem is Polish, yes.
I always said that he was the best Russian science fiction writer, and he's not even Russian.
No, because Tarkovsky adopted Solaris.
Oh, there you go.
No,
okay.
But he's definitely a Pole.
Okay. Not bad. Yeah, and let's recognize that Ignacy Trzewiczek is the creator, is the Polish game designer of Detective, which we think is a pretty well put together,
also well written.
For somebody who it's their second language, it does pretty darn well as far as that goes. So,
well, I would have to say that we speak English better than you do.
Better than I do?
Second language. English as a second language people?
Well,
absolutely.
I would say Joseph Conrad was a Pole.
Yes.
That was his first language.
Nabokov.
And then, Nabokov. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. If I wanted to learn how to speak Russian better than I already do, which
you try it.
Really poor. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Again, I love the sound.
I'm not going to
write what you're saying.
I'm not going to write The Master and Margarita tomorrow. Okay, let's just put that way.
No.
Frosthaven. It has been announced that there is a new Isaac Childress game. It's going to be basically essentially a sequel to Gloomhaven. Frosthaven is the story of a small outpost in the far north, one barely surviving the harsh weather as well as invasions from forces known and unknown. And you're going to be taking part as a small mercenary group helping to rebuild the town. 100 scenario campaign, 16 new characters, 3 new races, over 20 new enemies, and over 100 new items. Look, if you love Gloomhaven, there's no way you're not getting this. It should be coming out in Kickstarter, I believe, in March 2020. I think that's when it's coming out. And looking forward to that. I haven't even played Gloomhaven yet, so I can't
I have
speak.
not played Gloomhaven. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's fair.
I have this image of it being Lovecraftian New England, and New England can use 3 more races.
It is.
I've been there.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that at all. But let's move back into an area that we're more familiar with, Euro games. There is a Kickstarter project right now. It is called Venice. It has 9 days to go. It has kicked. It's made 3 times its goal. Venice is a Euro game for 1 to 5 players. David Turksey and Andrei Novak have designed it. David Turksey, you probably know because he was the designer of Anachrony. He also designed the expansion to Tricarion. He's done a lot of stuff. This is a serious guy. And if I could show you, let me show you some of the images. Take a look at the gondolier and the bridges. And
these look really high quality miniatures. And Venice is a very interesting city to set a game in.
I agree. I mean, while it's still here, we might as well make some games about it. It is, these designers are great. The game looks gorgeous, and the early buzz on it is that it's going to be a bit like Ragusa, which is quite a good game. So if it holds up to being that, this might be something that you want to kick. It definitely looks gorgeous.
Did you get in on that Kickstarter, Tom?
I have not yet, no. I'm a next to last day Kickstarter.
Do you think what's your over-under on Matt being in on that Kickstarter?
I'm going to put the over-under at 70% chance that Matt has kicked it.
At this point, I want to once again thank you and Matt for buying all these games for us to play.
It is literally our addiction and our pleasure. So we can't.
We are your enablers.
Next up, we have a game called Infamous Traffic. And Infamous Traffic is a Cole Wehrle game. It is about the East India Company, and it is about the trading of opium. It is an early Cole Wehrle design, and what our announcement is that Hollandspiel, their contract to make this game is up. And Cole Wehrle said to them, look, I could take this back and I could do something with it, not this year, not next year, but soon. Or do you guys want to re-up it? And they're like, no, if you have an idea for it, you go ahead and take it back. So they are losing the publishing rights to an Infamous Traffic. It is basically going to have its last copy sold until Cole can get it back to it. Cole's a busy guy. He's got Root. He's got all sorts of, he's got Pax Pamir. He's got all sorts of games he has been working on. Yeah, he very much is. So if
Pax Pamir of Afghanistan is very much in the same universe as an opium trading game.
Very much so. Very much so. So you might want to jump on Infamous Traffic if, look it up on the Geek. And if it seems like something you want, jump on it. Grab those last copies because it's probably going to be a while before you see that particular game again. Next up, what do you remember we said it was the most fun game we played at BGG-Con?
E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark,
so
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
You're dancing right around it. You're almost there. Bring it home.
Duel.
Earlier.
Jaws.
No, right in between Duel and Close Encounters. Yes. Jaws. It is Jaws. Jaws is we thought it was made by a designer named Prospero Hall because it says in BGG that it's designed by Prospero Hall. I've come to find out that Prospero Hall is not the name of a person, nor should it be. It is the name of a company. It is a group of designers and people, and they're all called Prospero Hall. I got mixed feelings about that, to be honest with you. I want designers' names on the boxes for too long, for virtually the entire board game hobby until just about 15, 20 years ago. No designers were on the boxes, and for them not to do that now. They say that they're a collective and they all work together. They don't call themselves a collective, but they say it's a collaborative process. I think designers need to have their names on. You're a writer, I'm a writer. Attribution.
We're all writers, Tom.
We're not all writers. We're not all writers.
We're all writers. And half of us are even directors. You directed theater.
Yeah.
Matt and Paul directed features. Jesse directed television.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I'm going to say this. They have another game out. Having played Jaws, which we described Jaws, right?
Yes. You want to balance
There's two
it.
acts
You
to
want
it,
to
right?
rebalance
One
it,
side of
yes.
the board is Amity Island.
Yeah.
And the shark that you cannot see is eating people, swimmers,
children, Boy Scouts,
like they're Pez, like they're Pez from a Pez dispenser. They are going nuts. And then you flip over the board and you play the orca. You're the people on Quint's boat trying to kill the shark, and you're not sure which side of the ship or which section of the ship it's going to come up. Phenomenal, fantastic design. What if I said the exact same designers, Prospero Hall? They have decided that one of their next games that's going to come out in 2020 is Top Gun, the strategy game. Let me tell you this.
Timed to coincide with the sequel.
Yes, indeed. But this is based on the original. Top Gun strategy game puts players in the pilot seats of Team Maverick and Goose or Team Iceman and Slider. Each team takes on the other during intense air combat training exercises. Pilots must strategically maneuver their planes and coordinate with their weapons operations officer, or their RIO. Actually, he's radar operations officer. That's what they're called. Conducting intense gravity-defying aerial maneuvers, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so
on
far,
the obverse, they play volleyball.
Did you look this up?
No.
Is that your joke?
Yes,
that's exactly what it is.
You're kidding
That is exactly what it is. Are you ready?
That is so funny.
Are you ready? When they aren't in the air, the pilots will face off in a volleyball card game in which they will strut their stuff to gain rewards or intimidate an opponent. I am not kidding.
That is genius.
Real.
That is genius.
You nailed it, DMITRY. You absolutely nailed it.
It's what I would do.
Look, these guys, they have a Trapper Keeper game. If you remember what the Trapper Keeper was, it was that like folder everybody wanted in school.
I had that, like the 5 subjects.
They are doing all of these weird 80s retro nostalgia things, and I'm absolutely positively fascinated by these guys, and I can't wait to find out how Top Gun is.
Tom, I want to play this game, and we should all get shirtless.
Hard pass. Next up, Tapestry news. You heard us say it in the review, or you heard some of us say it in the review. You heard it from probably a lot of other people. There are balance issues in Tapestry. It was not, I don't know if it wasn't play tested well or if they just ignored their play testing, but the various civilizations in Tapestry are not balanced. So Stonemaier Games has responded finally, and they've put out civilization adjustments. They have put out 1, 2, 3, 4. They put out 16. The 16 civilizations. I would say that 8 of them are adjusted. So 8 of them have a correction to better balance them out. I wish I could say that this was a surprise. I'm really glad they did it because they were claiming for quite a while that no, play the game more, everything is going to be fine, it's all going to come out in the wash. But people have played a lot of games of this. It was a very popular game at BGG Con. People realize that this game isn't working so good. It's not fun to play a game for 2 hours when one guy's got a hand tied behind his back.
I think I like this game more than everybody else in the group. I have to say that for me, I liked it because of the artwork, because of the narrative, because of the cards, because the tracks looked fun. I can't say that for me, balancing the points would make a great difference. So for me, I don't know who this fix is
But you're
for.
a non-gamer. I mean,
I am a non-gamer. I will be discussing this later.
What happens in the game almost is beside the point for you.
My experience is more important than whether I win.
Right. If somebody told you, "Oh, don't play that power. They're notoriously underpowered in comparison to others," that wouldn't be a huge deterrent to you. You would have roughly the same experience playing that as you would playing something.
Especially where there's no interference. In a game like Tapestry, you get to do stuff even if you're not going to win. It's not like railroad games or where you can get stuck halfway through not being able to do anything or even bust out.
Okay, fair enough. Last but not least, Arkham Horror. No, not Arkham Horror. Arkham Horror. All right, so last April Fool's Day, Fantasy Flight put out something for the Arkham Horror card game. They said that they were making the Dog Witch Legacy. They were going to make a whole game in which all of the cards of Arkham Horror were changed to dogs and cats and beagles and various things along those lines. Well, guess what? People loved it. People flipped out over the idea of it, and when they found out that it was just April Fool's Day nonsense and that there wasn't a real game coming out, there was literally an outcry. So guess what?
I bet you that's how the volleyball obverse of Top Gun happened. They pitched it as a joke, and everybody got so excited they did it for real.
It very well could be, but we're here to announce that Arkham Horror, the meddling of Meowlithep, yes, is a real standalone adventure for the Arkham Horror card game and is available through pre-order from Fantasy Flight Games. Look, Arkham Horror card game is a very good card game. this looks ridiculous. If it's your ball of wax, I'm not going to tell you not to enjoy yourself.
Can I
have
say
a blast?
Can I say one thing?
Say it.
Root
Root
is a game, a very, very serious game of strategy with cute little animals that people adore.
Yeah.
I think that they're going for a similar market. Lovecraft fans are cat worshippers, in my experience.
It could be. That's all we have for news for this week.